If you notice a noise when you turn your steering wheel while stationary, I want to go over some possible causes and how you might address them. Noises in this situation can typically be traced back to one of three main areas: the power steering system, the steering mechanism itself, such as the rack and pinion, or the suspension. First, let's talk about the power steering. If you're experiencing difficulty turning the steering wheel, especially when the vehicle is stationary, there's likely an issue with the power steering system. Even though it's possible for the power steering to cause noise while still allowing you to turn the wheel, if it's harder to turn than usual, a power steering problem is a strong possibility. The first thing you should do is check the power steering fluid level to ensure it's correct. How you check the level can vary depending on the vehicle. Some systems have a dipstick that indicates the proper level, while others have maximum and minimum lines marked on the reservoir. If the fluid level is low, look at the cap to see what type of fluid is required. Then head to an automotive store to purchase the correct fluid and top it off until it reaches the proper level. So, your first step is to check the power steering fluid and make sure it's at the correct level. If the fluid level looks good, the next step is to inspect the power steering belt. Ensure that it's properly in place and spinning the pump correctly. Also, take a look at the power steering pump itself to check for any signs of leaks or other issues. Typically, if the pump is failing, you'll have difficulty turning the steering wheel from side to side. However, even if it's not causing steering problems yet, a faulty pump can sometimes cause noise, so it's worth checking out. If everything with the power steering fluid and belt looks good, the next step is to inspect the steering rack. The steering rack is responsible for turning the tires when you move the steering wheel. It's connected to the tires via tie rods on each end. When a steering rack begins to fail, it often leaks power steering fluid. So, if you notice any fluid leaking from the rack, it's a strong indicator that the steering rack may be the issue. The steering rack is also connected to the tie rods, which have bushings at the connection points. If these bushings wear out, they can cause a noise like a clunk when you turn the steering wheel. To test for issues with the tie rods or bushings, you can jack up the vehicle and try moving the tire from side to side. If the tie rod is bad, you'll often hear and feel a clunk as the tie rod shifts back and forth. So, the next thing to check is whether the steering rack is leaking fluid, or if you have a bad tie rod. Another possible cause of the noise could be an issue with the suspension. Several components could be at fault, such as a bad ball joint, a worn control arm bushing, or even the tire rubbing against something. To check for suspension-related problems, jack up the vehicle and try moving the tire side to side and up and down. If you can have someone inside the vehicle turn the steering wheel while you listen and observe, it might help you pinpoint where the noise is coming from. Pay close attention to the lower control arm and the upper control arm, as these are common areas where problems can arise. By moving the tire around and listening to noises, you should be able to identify any issues. That's pretty much it. I just wanted to provide a basic overview of potential sources of noise when turning the steering wheel while stationary. If you have any additional insights, feel free to comment below. If this video was helpful, please click like, subscribe, and have a great day.